Did you realize Mark Zuckerberg left university at the age of 23 to launch Facebook? That bold move made him the youngest, self-made billionaire of his time. He's far from the only one. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Larry Ellison all built vast enterprises without finishing college. So here's the question. Must you drop out of school to become extraordinarily wealthy? What unites these titans? What sets them apart from the crowd? And how can you put their tactics to work right now, wherever you stand in life? When we talk about success here, we mean financial success. Experts classify wealthy individuals by net worth. The term ultra-high net worth individual, UHNWI, applies to anyone holding more than $30 million. There's also the very high net worth individual, VHNWI, for those with at least $5 million. But with living costs through the roof in cities like San Francisco or New York, $5 million can vanish faster than you expect. That's why we're zeroing in on the ultra-rich, the $30 million club. Imagine parking $30 million in low-risk assets, yielding just 5% annually. You'd earn $1,500,000 each year, without touching the principal that's about $125,000 per month for doing nothing extra. Look at how most ultra-wealthy people got rich. They founded businesses. They became entrepreneurs. Dr. Rainer Zittelmann, a respected academic, dedicated an entire second doctorate thesis to studying the ultra-affluent. He interviewed 45 individuals with massive fortunes to decode their mindset. His research uncovered patterns that make the super-wealthy different from everyone else. Here's a critical distinction. When most people succeed, they congratulate themselves by thinking, "I'm amazing." When they fail, they blame the economy, their teachers, their parents, society, or just plain bad luck. The ultra-rich flip the script. When they stumble, and they almost always point the finger at themselves. Not because they enjoy beating themselves up, but because they know this. Whoever you blame holds your power. If you blame a teacher for a poor grade, you're saying only the teacher can fix it. But if you take responsibility, you're saying you alone can change your outcome by trying a new approach. That mindset shift hands control back to you, and that may be the single biggest secret. Roughly 1/2 of the ultra-wealthy in the study played competitive sports when they were young. Those experiences ingrained discipline, relentless effort, and the resilience to recover from defeat. Another common thread. Most launched some kind of business between the ages of 15 and 25. These weren't billion-dollar startups out of the gate, just small experiments. Many early ventures failed, but each failure delivered hands-on lessons. Consider a few early stints. Warren Buffett sold chewing gum door-to-door when he was 6 years old. Richard Branson ran a mail-order Christmas tree business as a teenager. Oprah Winfrey charged neighbors to watch her backyard performances. Jeff Bezos tinkered with an automatic door for his bedroom door as a kid. Taking action, learning from setbacks, and owning every success and failure, that's your blueprint to building serious wealth. Back when he was in college, Elon Musk turned his apartment into a makeshift nightclub. Every weekend he hosted parties and special events that earned him enough in a single evening to cover an entire month's rent. Travis Kalanick, the co-founder of Uber, had already sold his first startup for more than $1 million before even dreaming up his ride-sharing idea. He too organized informal gatherings for fellow entrepreneurs in his living room, gathering fresh ideas and motivation. Imagine launching something of your own right now, even if you're still early in your career. It really does not matter what you pick. What counts is getting your hands dirty and thinking like an entrepreneur. In the United States, there's a distinct mindset at play. Graduates often declare, "We're going to build the next big thing and change the world." Many Americans view themselves as natural problem solvers. They ask, what if grocery deliveries could be fully automated? Or, why not let everyday drivers use their cars like taxis? That very spark of curiosity and confidence led directly to companies like Uber. In America, boldness is prized. You act first and learn on the job. Contrast that with attitudes you might find elsewhere, where people are coached to first earn perfect grades, then attend a top-tier university, secure a stable position at a major firm, stick with it for 40 years, and retire on a pension. The entrepreneurial route in the U.S. looks more like this. 1. Spot a real pain point. 2. Devise a solution. 3. Build a quick prototype even if it's rough. 4. Gather user feedback and refine. And 5. Expand and scale up. This bias toward action over endless planning fuels more risk-takers and, ultimately, more billionaires. Here's a twist you might not expect. Most ultra-wealthy individuals are self-made, not heirs to fortunes. Research suggests fewer than 15% of billionaires inherited their net worth. The remaining 85% built their empires from scratch. Yet roughly 60% come from families where a parent ran a small business, a local shop, a modest restaurant, or another venture. Growing up watching mum or dad juggle customers, finances, and long hours teaches invaluable lessons about perseverance, cash flow management, and the freedom of being your own boss. Today, the typical ultra-wealthy person is about 63 years old, which means their entrepreneurial upbringing happened in a pre-internet era. No apps, no social media, no cloud tools. For young people now, that's fantastic news. You can launch an online enterprise with minimal capital, tap into global markets instantly, and master almost any skill for free through online tutorials. You can iterate on your ideas faster and far more cheaply than ever before. One more insight from Dr. Ziddelman. Highly successful entrepreneurs tend to be non-conformists. They resist following the crowd and blaze their own trails, even when others call them crazy. Their Maverick approach extends beyond just business ideas. It shapes nearly every aspect of how they live and work. Adopting a Maverick mindset can feel like a full-time lifestyle. Consider these stories of visionaries who ignored the naysayers. When Steve Jobs planned Apple's first retail outlets, seasoned experts predicted disaster. They insisted computer shops must look like dreary warehouses crammed with boxes. Jobs shrugged off their warnings and designed elegant, minimalist spaces that now serve as the blueprint for every tech retailer. When Reed Hastings unveiled Netflix, critics scoffed that nobody would wait days for mailed DVDs when they could simply drive to Blockbuster. And when the founders of Airbnb suggested people would welcome strangers into their homes, the consensus was that they had lost their minds. Does doing things differently automatically lead to riches? On its own, probably not. Otherwise every defiant teenager would be rolling in cash. But when bold innovation is paired with other critical traits, the results can be extraordinary. If you experimented with unlikely side hustles as a teen, even if those ventures failed, you gained more than just product ideas. You developed a knack for marketing yourself, a skill that may be the single most important factor in building wealth. No matter how brilliant your product or service, you cannot generate sales unless you persuade people that it adds real value. And the first person who must sell the idea is you. Powerful self-promotion involves clearly explaining why your concept matters and telling stories that bring your vision to life. It means earning trust through consistent behavior and transparent communication. It means simplifying complex ideas so anyone can grasp their impact. Take Elon Musk as an example. Love him or hate him, he knows exactly how to capture attention for his projects. He did not merely manufacture an electric automobile, he framed it as the most exhilarating driving experience ever conceived. Want to hone this talent? Begin by selling something small, perhaps old electronics online or a simple yard maintenance service. Focus on which parts of your pitch resonate and which fall flat. By refining your approach through real-world feedback, you build the same persuasive techniques that industry leaders deploy on a massive scale. Researchers using the Big Five personality framework have identified common traits among the ultra-wealthy. They exhibit significantly higher emotional stability, meaning they remain calm under pressure instead of panicking at the first sign of trouble. When others feel overwhelmed, they stay composed and hunt for solutions. They also rank high in extroversion. They enjoy networking, presenting ideas, and rallying support from investors or team members. Introverts can thrive too. Many successful founders simply invest in developing strong communication skills. High openness is another hallmark. These individuals crave new experiences, spot emerging trends early, and adapt swiftly as markets shift. In contrast, they tend to score lower in agreeableness. They are comfortable challenging conventions and negotiating fiercely when necessary. Being well-liked won't drive profit. Tough conversations and firm bargaining will. Finally, conscientiousness binds it all together. Organized, diligent, and reliable, these entrepreneurs follow through on promises, cementing their credibility with partners and clients. Here's a surprising insight. Most multi-billion-dollar companies did not spring from entirely original inventions. They grew by taking ideas that stumbled and executing them far better. Google, for instance, arrived after Ask Jeeves, but refined search technology to perfection. Likewise, Facebook was not the first social network. MySpace and Friendster paved the way before Mark Zuckerberg perfected the formula. The real path to wealth lies in learning from past failures, mastering your sales narrative, and executing with relentless precision. The iPhone may grab the headlines, but it wasn't the first smartphone. BlackBerry had been around for years. Likewise, Amazon didn't pioneer online book sales. Several websites beat it to market. And Tesla wasn't the inaugural electric car. General Motors Evone rolled out in 1996. What set these firms apart wasn't timing, but execution. They refined existing concepts in meaningful ways. Here's the good news. You don't need to dream up something that's never existed to build wealth. Your path to success lies in delivering what already exists, only better, faster, or more affordably than anyone else. In the United States, people generally embrace risk far more readily than in many other countries. Americans will back products still in prototype stages, betting on their future potential. Take Netflix. As an example, early investors poured millions of dollars into the company even as it was losing money, convinced of its long-term upside. They were proven right. The American outlook on failure is unique too. In many places around the world, a failed venture brands you a loser. In America, especially in Silicon Valley, failure is almost celebrated as a stepping stone. The mantra there is, fail fast, fail forward. Another huge advantage is access to deep-pocket backers. In 2024, American venture capital firms injected over $100 billion into startups. That capital, alongside accelerators that speed growth, university programs that foster entrepreneurship, and business-friendly regulations, has created an unmatched environment for spawning billionaires. If your ambition is to found the next billion-dollar company, look for a co-founder. Only about 20% of unicorns valued at over $1 billion began with solo founders. 80% were launched by teams. Why? Because teams bring complementary skills, emotional support during tough stretches, multiple perspectives on problems and opportunities, and the ability to share an overwhelming workload. Think of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at Apple, Larry Page and Sergey Brin at Google, or Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield at Ben Jerry's. Find partners who share your vision, but contribute different strengths. Finally, don't waste energy on industries that don't generate profit. Roughly 50% of unicorn founders come from business backgrounds, and the other half from technology. To maximize your odds, aim for sectors where people spend big sums, where technology is revolutionizing processes, where inefficiencies cry out to be fixed, and where the market keeps expanding. Contrary to cinematic stereotypes, most successful founders aren't hoodie-clad adolescents. They're in their late 20s to early 30s, with chief executives often in their mid to late 30s after 10 or more years of professional experience. Let's get real. Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook and Bill Gates at Microsoft are outliers, not the standard path. For every teen billionaire, there are thousands of entrepreneurs who didn't hit it big until their 30s or 40s. Consider these names you may not have on your radar. Ray Kroc was 52 when he transformed McDonald's into a global powerhouse. Arianna Huffington launched the Huffington Post at 55. Colonel Harlan Sanders was 65 when he turned Kentucky Fried Chicken into a worldwide brand. And Vera Wang didn't even start designing couture until she was 40. Dr. Zeidelman's research of 45 affluent individuals revealed that just 1 or 2 kicked off their success in their 30s. The majority began after they hit 60 and a handful only found fame past 70. Yet today's internet landscape and startup ecosystem have accelerated wealth creation. That's great news if you're in your 20s. You don't have to race against the clock or panic if your first few ventures flop. You've got room to learn, test ideas, and pivot until you find your niche. And if you're in your 40s or beyond, don't sweat it. You possess life experience and industry know-how that young founders lack. Here's the million-dollar question. Do you need a college diploma to amass serious wealth? The numbers might surprise you. Among so-called unicorn founders, more hold doctoral degrees than quit college. The most common profile, though, is someone with a bachelor's degree and often nothing beyond that. Breakout figures look like this. 7% left college without a degree, 35% stopped after earning a bachelor's, 30% went on to complete a Master of Business Administration, and 9% achieved a Doctor of Philosophy degree. What does this teach us? Formal education has its benefits, but piling on advanced degrees doesn't guarantee fat bank accounts. A bachelor's creates a solid base, but true wealth usually comes from hands-on experience rather than extra diplomas. You don't have to drop out like Zuckerberg or Gatesner. Do you need a string of graduate degrees to build something massive? Not a straight-A student? Even better. Dr. Zeidelman discovered that implicit learning, picking things up through real-world experience, matters far more than classroom grades. His interviews showed no correlation between report card performance and later fortune. Some barely scraped through high school. Others held doctorates. Yet whether they had D's or A's made zero difference in their eventual success. Look at these famous underachievers turned tycoons. Richard Branson left school at 16. Simon Cowell walked away with almost no qualifications. Jay-Z never finished high school but went on to become a billionaire. Barbara Corcoran earned D's across the board before building a real estate empire. What schools rarely teach, but every wealthy entrepreneur figures out, are the skills that really count. Calculated risk-taking, bouncing back from failure, reading people and negotiating deals, marketing yourself and your ideas, spotting overlooked opportunities, and forging powerful networks. None of that shows up on a transcript, yet it's worth infinitely more than any A+ when you're in the game of making money. Achieving massive wealth typically comes through entrepreneurship. Working a traditional job versus founding your own company requires 2 completely distinct skill sets. In a job, you focus on following instructions, hitting deadlines someone else sets, operating within established frameworks, and minimizing errors. When you're building a business, you chart your own course, design your own processes, handle every aspect of operations, embrace risk, and turn mistakes into lessons. That gap explains why academic success rarely leads directly to startup triumphs. Self-made multimillionaires did not amass their fortunes by cramming textbooks. They built wealth by taking action, stumbling, studying their mistakes, and iterating with growing insight. It is like learning to ride a bicycle. You can study balance and pedaling in theory all day, But until you hop on, take a spill, and keep pedaling through the bruises, you will not truly get it. Wealth creation follows the same trial and error playbook. Here is what unfolds when you launch a business. First, you develop an idea that excites you. Second, you present it to potential customers. Third, you encounter unexpected roadblocks. Fourth, you adjust your plan. Fifth, you relaunch with upgrades. Sixth, you identify marketing strategies that actually deliver results. Seventh, you learn exactly what your audience craves. Eighth, you refine your financial management. Ninth, you master negotiating with suppliers and partners. 10th, you toughen up by facing rejection. These hands-on lessons trump a semester in business school because they are personal, actionable, and become ingrained. If you aim to join the ranks of the ultra-wealthy one day, start adopting these mindset shifts now. 1. Take 100% responsibility for your results, good or bad. When a project goes south, avoid playing the blame game and ask yourself, what could I have done differently? 2. Challenge conventional wisdom. Many of the biggest opportunities emerge when you question what everyone else takes for granted. 3. Seek out problems you can solve innovatively. Train yourself to notice everyday hassles and inefficiencies. Each one hints at a potential business idea. 4. Do not shy away from starting small. Even billionaires launched modest ventures. Begin with a project you can manage to build your entrepreneurial muscles. 5. Learn to market yourself as effectively as your product. Practice communicating why your idea matters, crafting compelling stories, and confidently discussing your achievements. 6. Embrace failure as your greatest teacher, not a dead end. When you stumble, ask, what lesson can I take from this? Top entrepreneurs often fail multiple times before their big breakthrough. 7. Cultivate emotional resilience. Avoid extreme highs and lows. Practice staying calm during crises so you can make clearer decisions under pressure. 8. Kick off your entrepreneurial journey right now, regardless of your age. Do not wait for a flawless idea launch, a small side project or weekend hustle today. 9. Prioritize skill development over grades or diplomas. Identify real-world capabilities that add market value, like coding, sales, marketing, financial analysis, communication, and problem-solving. 10. Surround yourself with big thinkers. Your environment shapes your ambition. Seek out friends, mentors, and communities that push you to aim higher. Here is the best part. You can begin cultivating these billionaire traits today. No matter your age or your bank balance, could you become the next Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk? Perhaps you will, perhaps you will not. But by modeling the behaviors of the ultra-wealthy, you maximize your chances of joining their ranks one day. Here's an insider tip. You don't have to reach billionaire status to unlock massive rewards. By embracing the same mindsets and daily rituals they live by, you'll outpace 99% of people in wealth creation. So, are you ready to start thinking and acting like the ultra-wealthy? Your journey to that first millionaire, even your first billion, starts with how you view money right now. Which of these habits are already second nature to you, and which ones will you begin refining?